that basis, I'm not really investing. The only person I know who has done some work for my network with defense is Devan Verma.
Yeah. You know? And there's a guy in Bangalore as well, who's done the defense offset fund.
No, the offset is all the big companies are also looking at offsets, and as a result of that offset, you will see that, there will be new entrepreneurs, or the large companies will want to, get some piece of that, But I really don't have a feel for, what area of defense you are talking about, whether it's at armaments end, or the facilities end, or the supplies end, there's Halliburton kind of the people in the US who take care of all your overseas establishment and stuff. I don't know any.
My point was, for example, I was referring to defense electronics. But my point is, as a venture investor who's looking at best opportunities all over, why is it that defense has not attracted your attention, for example?
Because nobody has come to us with a major proposition. But if you look at venture fund, and if you look at the history of venture fund in defense kind of stuff, look at all the Israeli venture funds. Where did they put their money in? They put money in all the technologies which came out of defense. All the security technologies, all the Wi-Fi technologies, everything in Israel was funded by venture. It came out of what they had done for the defense. So the thing is, a venture fund would be very interested in saying, okay, you've got a captive customer, you're doing defense electronics, for something. What are its commercial uses? Because that commercial use, I'm very, very interested in investing, because the defense use, you've got a contract with the government, you will produce X to them, you're a single customer, and it will grow. Your needs are more working capital than growth capital. Growth capital to put facilities in place, but not to expand markets. So I would say that in the defense electronics field, I personally would suggest that venture fund would be very interesting if you can find commercial uses of whatever you are doing and say, hey, I need this. Or you say, this technology I'm developing for the Indian Air Force, I can now sell to air forces throughout the world. But just funding a single defense contractor who works with one customer, I would say, would not be a venture funded field generally.
How do you see the US markets rebounding now?
I'm not seeing it, but
so the news, correct? That's in the newspapers.
No, there is a rebound, in the US. But it doesn't feel like it. There are certain sectors, which are going to rebound, and I'm basically concerned that if I look at Silicon Valley, where's the next best thing going to come from? Because if you really, these guys, Facebook, Twitter has already been invented, Google is there, what next? What is that big thing which is going to lift everybody, into the next sphere, and there'll be derivatives. Now, we're focusing on,
biotech, clean tech.
Yeah, clean tech. Yeah, clean tech is a huge opportunity. But clean tech is a huge opportunity. But there isn't anything sort of clean tech, as I said, is possibly the single largest big thing. But they also, I don't think we can beat the Americans away from gas for a long, long time. So it's a long-term process. Now the other industries are all getting stronger, but they're getting stronger mainly because I think, what happens with large companies is that in times of, every company has got fat. People they shouldn't have had, and departments and products they should not have had. What most of them have done very, very effective. If you look at corporate profits, they're going up in the US. What they have done is they've really sliced to the bone. not to the bone, but very close to it. And they've figured out whether they are service companies or manufacturing companies, that they can actually do more with less. They can do more with less. Whereas previously they used to need 10,000 people to do it. They say, wow, with 8,000 people I'm able to do the same thing. So the US unemployment will not increase in my view until we go past the level of 2008, 2009. It's only when we increase beyond that unemployment will pick up. So the rebound, it will be in numbers, but the misery in terms of people will continue for quite some time. That's my that's a personal view.
Sridas?
Yeah, since you sit on the board of Infosys, so if you were to crystal ball gaze 5 years down the line, where do you see a company like, say, Infosys, and hence one can maybe reduce TCS in terms of financial metrics, given the fact that you have the Accentures which are setting up increasingly large centers in India, and the pressure from clients to cut down their margins. We are talking about still a bit of 30% or what. So if you were to crystal ball gaze 5 years down the line, what kind of financial metrics?
Very difficult for me to say what we discuss. But this is obviously you will understand without saying that all the companies are discussing this in their board meetings. In every board meeting there will be some discussion around this. And different people see different things. In what's happening in this industry. There is no doubt in my mind that the Indian outsourcing companies will continue to grow considerably. Because if something has happened, and we talked about in the US, one of the reasons unemployment won't pick up is once somebody has cut something down, they then make a very rational decision about where they're going to put the additional job or they need to create. Then if they've not done outsourcing before, they will look at outsourcing. So in a perverse kind of a way, the job creation will happen outside of the US and should happen outside of the US. The US has got structural problems. Europe has got structural problems. They'll be bloody-minded enough to keep jobs there which should never have been there in the first place, and they will not let it go. But in the long term, to be competitive, they've got to do the things that all other companies are doing, right? So the outlook for the Indian outsourcing industry at all levels is extremely rosy. When it is extremely rosy, then margins, the existing customers, may want you to squeeze on margins. But because capacity constraints will start building in because of demand, the newer customers will not be able to have the same leverage. And because now you can tell the old customers, hey, if you don't want to pay me that much, I will go and do it for somebody else who's prepared to pay me that much. So this balances itself out. So if you look at Infosys, margins, they've not really gone down. And if you look at TCS last quarter, TCS came as very close to Infosys, the first company. TCS made 23-24% margins. So margins of at least the top tier companies are going up. At a time when you would expect, there is a lot of price competitive pressure, this, that, and the other, margins should be going down. They're actually going up. So I think that
is that sustainable though?
Everybody talks in terms of at one point in time all of this will become commodity. And I think I am one of those I argue that point in board meetings, but I think that it is some ways away. And the way the companies keep ahead of that is, you see, the customer is not looking at margins. He's looking at like a total cost of ownership or total cost of the product. And all these companies, every year, they generate 10-15% internal productivity, which they pass on. So, there will come a point in time in the Indian outsource industries where you can't squeeze this anymore. You've taken as much efficiency as possible out of the system. There is no more that we can get to do. At that time, if there is cut in prices, then your margins will be impacted. But we're a long ways, away from that. A long ways away from that. There are so many different trends happening that these companies will retain their margins for quite some time.
Recent current uptick actually might have been because of the fact that these companies, in anticipation of the slowdown, did a lot of belt tightening. So I think since business did not go down as much, probably there might be.
Oh yeah, no, they react much faster. You know, they react much faster to these kind of changes. You know, but the opportunities also increase during these cycles. You know, so yeah, I may be proved wrong. You know, in 3-4 years time, but I think we are some ways away from what I would call that everything goes towards reduction of margins. You know, there will be those clients who can squeeze margins. You know, there will be new clients coming who did not do outsourcing before, who will pay better rates. And because there are new clients coming in, the guy's ability to squeeze you on existing prices will diminish. Because, you know, okay, don't go to someone else. Infosys just turn downward. You know? We'll say that if you can't pay our margins, we don't want it. We got somebody else we can do it for.
We have room for the last 3 questions. Because Geeta didn't reply.
So,